through how you use the tracker document. Just to state right in the beginning, the tracker document is obviously very important, not only for yourself, but for me as well. We're needing to track progress. What gets measured gets results, and that's what we want to do here. So we want to set up some targets of what we're trying to achieve, and then we want to know whether we are achieving those targets and where we need to do a course correction. In terms of any guarantees that are given with the LinkedIn Maximizer program, obviously I'm needing to have visibility that you're actually doing the work as well, and it gives us really good coaching opportunities to figure out where we're needing to pivot and change. So if you look at the first page over here called breakdown, really on the breakdown, what we want to do is anywhere where there's a green block like this is where you're going to fill in your information. If you look at your current LinkedIn connections, how many do you have? So whatever they are, you go put your figure in there. So I'm just going to run through an example here. So let's just say you get 1,500. Next one, your current ideal connections. In other words, how many of those connections are likely prospects of yours that you can do some business with in the future? In reality, you'll find the average person out there will have about 90% of the connections will be absolutely useless, and we really want to get rid of them. So take a thumb guess, thumbsuck, how many do you think are non-ideal? So let's just go and put the 900 of them are not correct. In other words, then it's immediately giving us 600 is what we're needing to get rid of. New potential LinkedIn connections. So if we do a quick search in LinkedIn, under your profile and the geographic area you want to go, how many potential connections could you have out there? Do that search. What are the results? Let's just go put down a figure of 4,500. Next, acceptance rate. So when you send out a connection request to a new person out there, they're not all going to accept. There's a percentage of them are going to be accepting. Let's just put down a figure of 30%. That figure will increase over time. Next over here is what can you manage from your average daily limit in terms of the time you're putting into your LinkedIn management. So deleting from LinkedIn, let's just put down a figure of say 20. I find myself, providing I've got a good internet connection, I'm doing anywhere between 2 to 4 disconnects a minute. It depends how much time you want to spend in there to make sure that you're not disconnecting good connections. So you can see it's going to take me 6 weeks to get rid of all my old connections, approximately. Send lead messages to existing connections. Let's just put a figure of 20. Therefore, you can see it's going to take 9 weeks. And new connection requests, let's say 25. It's going to take me 36 weeks to send new LinkedIn connections, connection requests to new prospects out there. Over here, initially I wouldn't be changing these figures. This just sets up how the formulas work. Intro messages, that is, if somebody sends a connection request to you and you decide to accept it, within 1 day, what we're saying is we want to send back an acknowledgement introductory message to them. Lead messages, so of your existing connections or new connection requests, when's the first time we start sending our lead message, which is something a little bit more about what you do and whether you can help them. So we've put that at 21 days or 3 weeks. Booster message, because a lot of people don't respond to that first message. You'll double that rate by sending a booster message, which we're saying is a week later. A follow-up message, 180 days or 6 months later. A set 180 days, and a second booster at 7 days. So the difference between a lead and a follow-up is your lead messages something that you're going to be putting out there that's going to resonate with them. So let's just say I make ping pong balls. My first lead message could be, we make fantastic yellow ping pong balls. Are you interested? The follow-up message, we don't want to go 6 months later and say, oh, we sell yellow ping pong balls. We want something different. So you could say, we sell green ping pong balls. So it's just a different message about the service that you've got. Then if you look at the message databases, which starts getting interesting, first thing just to point out, this middle section here is just a summary. So enter the date in the green block to get your daily summary. and then the figures of your daily summary will come up here. So just ignore this completely at the moment. You can see I've got a whole lot of columns here. These are the headings that belong to those columns over there. So just for case of example, let's just say I have more the spelling. I've got a contact Fred, and I have been invited by Fred to connect. And I've had a look at his profile and I think, oh, he's a good prospect. So I'll go put down there. And this happened on the 1st of November. So you are invited the 1st of November. When you're entering the date format, follow this consistency here. You don't have to worry about the year at this stage. Just type in 1-November. And the key over here is to put a little cross in here. As soon as you put a cross, you'll see it shades gray. The reason why we need to put a cross in here is this information gets carried up to up top here. This is the only way we can get this actually working over here. So what it's telling us, we need to send our introductory message by the 2nd of November. When you do send it, you can just change it to the 3rd or the 4th, or whenever you did actually send it, and send it across there. What it's immediately telling us then is on the 23rd of November, I should be sending my lead message. Once you send your lead message on the 23rd, you may have to send a booster message on the 30th of November if they haven't responded. If they have, we mark it off, and then it tells us a follow-up message should be on the 21st of May. Let's get another one. Let's just say Rod is an existing connection, so we don't have to worry about the first column. You were invited. A connection introduction, we don't have to worry about that because he's already a connection. What we want to do is we want to send out a lead message. So we enter a date there. Let's go again with the 1st of November, and I put a cross in there. So basically what it's saying is the 1st of November, I'm sending out a lead message. If he hasn't responded, I need to send out a booster message by the 8th of November. Once I've done that, I tick it, and my follow-up is the 29th of April, which is 6 months later. And as we're going through, we just need to continue doing this work. So let's do one for Mary. And let's just say Mary, I'm wanting to connect with them. So I'll send them a connection request on the 1st of November, and I'll mark it with an X. What it's then telling us then is I need to send a lead message on the 22nd of November. When I do that on the 22nd of November, just mark it with an X, and it's saying my booster needs to go on the 29th. I may or may not have to do it. So let's say she actually responded on the 22nd. Even though it's saying on the 29th I need to do my booster, you can just ignore it. My next follow-up is on the 20th of May. I'll do that on the 20th of May, and I might have to send out a booster on the 27th of May. So this in a nutshell is how you run this worksheet. It's all pretty basic. If we then go to the summary block over here and we put in, if today was the 1st of November, you can see all it's telling me is going to be a quick summary, which is I have been invited to one. I've sent out a connection or intro message to one person. I've sent a lead message out to one person. And this information is important because we need to transfer that information to our trackers over here. So the first month, we set up what we call a sprint tracker, and then we've got month 2, month 3, month 4. This is where we start condensing all our information. So if we look at our sprint tracker up over here, this is my target over here, which we filled in on the first page, the breakdown, and our weekly target, so know what we're doing. And we physically go in here and we enter whatever we did on this particular day. So maybe we did 3, 35 and 3, whichever day it was. And all what it's doing is it'll be showing up red if we are behind our target and green if we are on or ahead of our target. Every single day we just go and physically fill in this data from a summary that we've got over here. If it all seems a little bit confusing, don't worry about it. Once you start running with the program and you start entering this data, it all makes sense. Then what we're wanting to do is for every single day is, again, it's a manual operation, leads generated. So if you've had some engagements and you feel that there's a lead that's been generated, and a lead really is not a sale, it's taking your conversation to the next level. So in other words, you've sent some messaging out and you've got a phone call possibly hooked up. That is what we call a lead. So you just go into how many leads you've had on a particular day, and it will obviously give us how many leads we're generating in a week. Calls made, again, useful for just tracking how we're going in terms of activity level on calls made. If we're getting a hold of leads generated and no calls, then obviously it's indicating that something's wrong. Opportunity pipeline, again, it's useful in terms of your business just to say from these 3 leads, if you're selling something at say $1,000, opportunities pipeline would be $3,000 over here, $4,000, and you'd continue with that. And if you actually hook any of those over, so that's naught, and we get a sale over there for $1,000, it just helps us put into numerical sense the value of what we're getting from our LinkedIn. And this really is exactly the same for month 2, month 3, month 4. I've found when I was running this myself, it is useful to set this all up yourself and run it yourself until you're very familiar with it. And then I found it's easier to get somebody else to help you do some of the dog work, because there's a lot of dog work here. And that could be somebody else in your office, or you can outsource it to a virtual assistant, as I do. Hopefully that makes sense, and I'm sure during one of our coaching sessions we'll have some questions and we will iron through any creases that we've got in the system. Thank you.